This is a 5-year review of our 4-wheel camper.
Now let's jump inside and talk about it because it is cold out here. I used to do a bunch of truck-based hunts and I would just sleep in the bed of my pickup. Problem is that I was sleeping on top of my truck vault. Couldn't really sit up, and during inclement weather especially, if you get trapped in your truck for a couple days or a day at a time, like you'd be so stinking uncomfortable. And after 2 or 3 days of that, I would just head home. I would be like, bag it, I'm too uncomfortable, I'm not mentally there, I would just head home. And with my lifestyle, I really wanted something that I could spend like 10 plus days out and be comfortable. So I bought a 4-wheel camper. This specific model is a Fleet Shell, and originally I had it in the back of my Toyota Tacoma, and after I think 3 years, I switched that over to an F-150. And the only modification I had to do was I had to build a little platform for this camper to sit on. The reason I went with a Shell was because I wanted the kind of ultimate flexibility with how much gear I could bring. And 4-wheel campers make some super tricked out campers. Actually, my parents have one that's got a dinette, it's got a sink, it's got a refrigerator, fully tricked out. The problem is there's like hardly any room inside. There's no room for storage. And so I wanted something that I could just throw in a big cooler, bring some extra water, and have room. Also, the Shell models are quite a bit less expensive than the fully tricked out ones. When I had this camper in my Tacoma, I did add an extra leaf spring in the back, which helped bring up the back end with the camper in. Even though this is a very lightweight camper, it was still causing the back end to sag quite a bit, and almost looked like you were doing a wheelie going down the highway. But with the extra leaf spring in the back, rides perfectly fine. And with my current F-150, I did not add a leaf spring in the back. Although I probably could, it does make it sag a little bit. Let's do a little camper tour and talk about some of the features. All right, when you come in the camper, first thing on the left here, on the top, we've got a 2-burner stove, and this is attached to 2 propane bottles on the outside. We've also got, there's a heater in here and a thermostat over here. With the heater on, you can keep it a really comfortable 60, 65 degrees in here, even on like 10-degree nights. Total game changer, makes it really comfortable. So the heater and the propane stove run off of 2 propane tanks that you access from the outside. And generally I find that I can get about 8 days of use in the propane before I need to refill them. Typical usage for the heater would be like running it in the evening, at night, and in the morning, and then like during those times as well, like doing a little bit of cooking on the top here. The other thing you'll notice is the headroom. So I'm right at 6 feet tall. I have boots on as well. And I still have about 4 inches of headroom. So if you were over 6'4", you might hit your head. But anything under that, you should be good to go. Other things on this side, right here we've got, there is 4 USB ports and then just a 12-volt socket here. I added this guy custom. This is just a little magnetic light that attaches here. It's USB rechargeable. So pop in, you can turn that on. Here we've got, these are the 2 deep cycle batteries. Also got an inverter up there that allows me to plug in on this side, regular 12-volt plug, so I can plug in my laptop, I can plug in boot dryers. When I got this camper, I really wanted to be able to have a remote editing station for my photography and video work. So I can plug in my computer here with the inverter on. Then I have this Lagoon table that I added. It just attaches with 4 screws here. And this table, it can swing out. It rotates both here and here. But you can put your laptop on here, do work, you can have meals. You have multiple people in here, you can have one person sitting here, other person sitting here. You can play games, eat food, pretty slick system. The 12-volt batteries are attached both to the truck, so anytime the truck is on, they are being powered up. It is also attached to a big solar panel on the roof, so there's a lot of power going into this. The guys at 4-wheel campers told me I could run my laptop in here through the inverter for like 7 straight days, which is tons of time. All right, so this camper's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 side windows and then 2 vents here. And obviously great for airing out. If it's hot, you can just open this thing up.
It has also saved me many times from a certain farty someone.
I don't know what she's talking about. All right, let's show the layers of the windows. So fully open there's a mesh screen right here, bug proof. And then the first layer is this one. So you got weatherproof. And then you've got the kind of the canvas piece. And that just velcros up. And then you've also got the thermal lining. Same deal. It all velcros up. And then when you want to pop the camper down, there is these little D-rings right here, and you take an included bungee cord, attach them to each side of the camper. So there's 2 bungee cords, and it helps pull this piece in, so when you pop it down, this canvas lining and stuff doesn't get caught on the outside. So up top here, we've got 1, 2, and actually 3 lights over there. And these lights, they are battery operated, just LED lights, and to use them are super simple. You literally just tap. So you tap on, tap off, and then when they're on, if you just hold, it will change the brightness. It's kind of a slick little system. This camper also came with a thermal pack, which is this piece right here. Usually there's just kind of this plasticky canvas thing, but then there's this thermal lining that it velcros in, and it just provides an extra barrier against condensation. It also helps insulate slightly. So if you're doing any winter camping, highly recommend this. There are 2 ceiling vents here. This one has got a powered fan in it. This one does not. Cool thing about this is you can push air in or out. So when you're pushing air out, a couple reasons you do that is when you're running propane, you want to get the propane out so you don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. The other great thing is if you do have some flies in here, if there's a few mosquitoes, if you turn the fan on and it blows the air out, the mosquitoes will literally get stuck in this fan and they will not bite you at night. So that's super handy. The reason you might want to have air coming in is if it's really hot in here, if it's the middle of summer and you want to try to cool things down. Then up here we've got our sleeping area.
As is, the bed easily fits 2 people comfortably. We just have a 2-person sleeping bag that we use. But if you have a 3rd person joining with you, this bed actually slides open and ends up being about the size of a queen bed.
Like Aaron said, 2 people fit up here great. We usually sleep sideways, and then if you want a 3rd person, it's very easy. You just grab this guy, you pull it out. So this slides out, and this camper comes with additional pads. You can just put them 4 pads, so here, 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 and here. Then all of a sudden, you've got like a giant bed. It's queen. You can fit 3 people like this. The most I've ever slept in here is 4 people actually. So 3 up top, and then 1 down here. Not the best sleeping platform, but it worked.
What are you guys doing? You know, taking some naps.
It was 20 below in Colorado, and we all thought we were going to die, so we all jumped in the camper and we survived. Since we're not sleeping under the stars, we thought we'd add a starscape to the camper. So we've got a bunch of glow-in-the-dark stars up top, super custom. And down on the side here, this is just a little tray that we got off Amazon. So there's these 3 screws here, and this literally just clamps on to this piece of wood up here. And it's nice, it just gives you a platform to put stuff such as books or your sidearm or food, whatever. And over here, we've got another window. This fully opens, is an emergency exit. Then you got a little privacy curtain as well. And right here, this comes with the camper. This is just a little organizational tray. Keep all sorts of things in here, from lighters to cribbage board to, got some micro spikes, got a JBL clip for playing music, toilet paper, all the things. Also have this little mini broom and dustpan, got it hanging on a hook. I also have a second one that we'll just hang the garbage bag off of. And we come around over here. This is a paper towel roll holder. Actually added this is just from Amazon. This piece just screws in here and here, and then the paper towel roll just pops into place. But pretty slick. Okay, then down here on this piece, this actually flips up, and this is storage as well. I usually keep 2 Helinox chairs. I got a bunch of tow straps and knives, an axe, a saw, just a bunch of random miscellaneous stuff. We've got the same storage compartment over on this side. Same deal, some storage of some random things. This is where you access all of the fuses as well. And then underneath here, these guys pop open. This is storage. This is also how you access your connecting piece. Goes from the camper to the truck. So these are turnbuckles. You want to make sure these are relatively snug. So I'm always checking these and just kind of hand cranking them and then giving them an extra maybe crank. There's 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Really important to check your turnbuckles, make sure they're tight. Other things we always have in the camper, got 5 gallons of water. And we've got 2 totes here. This tote is full of mostly pots and pans, miscellaneous cookware. And this tote is full of hot drinks, silverware, spices, other miscellaneous cookware. That's everything on the inside. Now let's go to the outside. So back at the camper, got a little porch light right here. We've got 2 basically cubbies, one here and one over here. And I keep a few things in here. First, these little yellow guys, these basically you can stack them up and you can put them underneath your wheels to level your camping spot, because you really want to have a level camping spot, otherwise you're sleeping like this or like this. So I have a couple of these on each side. This is the door where you access your propane bottles. And then on this side, we've got a couple shovels, we've got hike and pull, more of the yellow levelers. You can also access your turnbuckles in here, so you could reach in and tighten them that way as well. Down here, this is the edge of my platform that I built to bring this fleet up so that it would fit in the back of my F-150, because again, I used to have it in my Tacoma. I've also got a backup cam that I installed here, because when you got the camper on, you really can't see out the back hardly at all, especially if it's loaded. So it's really nice to have a backup cam so that you don't accidentally run into something. Come around to the side here. These big plates here, there's one on each corner. This is where you would attach the jack, so you could actually take the camper off, work on it, you can put it in a different vehicle, whatever. I rarely take this thing out, so what I did instead is I just put these little hooks that I got off Amazon, tied them on, and I'll hang things on the outside. Hang my bow here during hunting season. I've hung game bags full of wild meat, clothes, garbage bags, etc. Got one on each corner. Up there on the roof is the solar panel. It's maybe like a third of the size of the roof, and it provides power to the batteries on the inside. Over here, there is actually a little solar jack that you could plug in external solar to charge the camper. So up on top, there is 2 Yakima rails that run this way, and the solar is attached into those, and I can also run Yakima bars going across the top. And the only reason I really do this is when I'm hunting elk, and say I'm lucky enough to get an elk and I can't fit them in the camper, I will strap them to the roof on these Yakima crossbars. When I first bought the camper, I did get a big Yakima rack to put on top. Problem is, if you put any weight up here, it makes it really, really hard to pop the camper up. So basically, anytime I would run any luggage on the top, I'd have to pull it off every time I'd pop the thing up, and it was just a pain, and I quit doing it. Up here, these are the latches. They hold the pop-up portion of the camper down while you're driving. There's 6. Got the little hydraulic things here that help push the camper up. And up here, got a little rain gutter. Now let's jump back into the camper because it is freezing out, and let's talk about some things that haven't worked out so great with the camper. We've owned this camper for 5 years, and we've probably put 500 nights in it, so it's gotten a lot of use, and it's kind of to be expected that normal wear and tear will happen in those 5 years. A few things that have quit working or just aren't working in this camper, or problems that we've had. First off, the little porch light on the outside quit working in about a year. Secondly, we had about a 2-year spell of the heater would just quit working. Sometimes it would work, and then in the middle of the night, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't turn on, nothing would happen. There was full power to the camper, we had plenty of propane, but the heater was not working. First time this happened was camped on top of a mountain at a ski hill. Actually, it snowed about a foot and it was probably 10 degrees. 2 in the morning, the heater quits working. And I had just learned that the culprit might be the sail switch, and to access the sail switch, you have to take off this big panel on the outside, and there's like 4 different screws, and you have to reach in and press this reset button. Doing that solved the problem. Problem is I had to do that like 15 times in 1 year. It was a royal pain, but they have since fixed that problem, and I haven't had that issue in probably 3 years. And the next issue, and this is a pretty big one, is that over time, the door frame, like the main door to access into the camper, was bending, and it got so bad that at one point, I couldn't open the door. I thought the door was locked, but it definitely wasn't locked. The door was literally just like, because it had bent and there were some weird pressures, it had bent so much that it like basically locked the door shut. And I spent like 6 hours trying to figure that out, and finally I just started pulling and pulling and pulling, and eventually opened. I had to take a mallet and start pounding on some spots to kind of bend the frame back into a position to where I could actually get into it. Part of that also, I had to take off the screen door because the hinges had gotten so bound up that the screen door was basically stuck. I couldn't even move it, so I had to take it off entirely. That was a huge bummer. Same thing happened to the little door that you would use to access the propane tanks. It got so tight that I had a really hard time even opening the propane door, and had to again take a mallet and pound on the propane door and some of the hinges to try to make some new room to access. That has been a running problem, something I continue to deal with. The other thing that's really interesting is the front of this camper, where the camper kind of meets the head of the truck. There's a big bulge in the camper, and when I took it into Four Wheel Campers, the guy there, he's like, oh, it just looks like the metal's bending. I'm like, why should the metal be bending? Like, I feel like there's something structurally wrong. I'm not sure entirely, but it's a little scary to look at. And the last issue, this one's really minor, but it's the USB ports on the inside here. 2 of them just quit working. And so I swapped out the fuses because I thought maybe it was a problem with the fuse, but it appears to be a problem with the whole panel, the whole USB panel. So right now I've got 4 USB ports, but only 2 of them work, and it's been that way for quite a long time. When I've been troubleshooting these problems, I've had really good luck on the Four Wheel Camper Owners Facebook group. You can ask a question, upload some photos. There's a ton of people on there that are super helpful. So if anyone's ever having an issue, join that group. There's tons of information. I often get asked, what would you have done differently if you were to redo this camper purchase again? And to be honest, I wouldn't have really done a whole lot. I love that I got a shell model. The tricked out models, they're sweet, but problem is you just cannibalize all of the internal storage space with, these different amenities from a fridge to a dinette and stuff like that. So it's really nice to have a shell model that you just have like more flexibility, more room. I would entertain though getting a Project M, which is basically more similar to a topper with a pop-up on top. And what this allows you to do is you can still, say you got a 4-wheeler or something, you can still actually pull your 4-wheeler into the bottom. It's not gonna be as comfortable, it doesn't have a stove, isn't like insulated, it's probably gonna be a little chilly. So trade-offs with everything. But I suppose the one thing I would have done differently is when I did upgrade to my F-150, be driving a Tacoma, and I got almost 300,000 miles on that thing, and I was like, I don't know how much life this thing has left in it. So I started looking around for other trucks and got a screaming deal on an F-150, and I was like, oh well, I can make this camper fit in there by basically just lifting up the bed a little bit. F-150, great truck. It's really nice to drive on the highway. And you can set the cruise control at 80 or even 85 and just roll. And there's also more cab storage just for some of these bigger road trip based adventures we're doing. Works out great. Problem is this F-150 gets stuck in the stupidest stuff that a Tacoma or probably any small mid-sized truck would kind of laugh at. 4 inches of snow. F-150's getting stuck. Climbing over rocks, probably gonna get high centered. There's just so many physical barriers that this F-150 can't surpass that a Tacoma or any probably mid-sized truck wouldn't have a problem with. So if I were to do it again, I would probably upgrade to a newer Tacoma. Karen and I debate all the time, what would be better? This truck bed based camper or like a tow behind. And with this camper that lives in the back of the truck, our bed, our home goes with us everywhere. Versus if we had a tow behind, we would be pretty limited on where we could go. We would have to drop that trailer off a lot to then go drive into some more remote country to access some different wild places. When your bed is literally in the back of your truck, you can kind of go anywhere. All this said, even with the negatives, this 4-wheel camper has been probably the best investment I've ever made short of my camera gear. This camper just allows you to go longer, go further, and just stay comfortable. And both my wife and I can go do these 10-day or even 2-month-long trips. If you're comfortable, you're more mentally in the game, and it's just going to allow you to do more wild stuff and live an adventurous life. So if you're on the fence, just go get one. Camper life is the best life. Not saying you got to spend 20 grand on a new camper, but if you do, it'll change your life. What do you think, Karen? What do you have to say about that?
You'll never shower again.
Oh yeah, you'll never shower again. You go like 14 days without showers. It's pretty fun. Anything else?
You learn some fart coping techniques.
That's it. You learn some fart coping techniques when you get a camper. So if that's not a sales point, I don't know what it is. Tight quarter fart coping.